Welcome back, YouTube. I am Evil Squeegee, and this is DMPC, the show where I am both the DM and the PC. Today is our final episode. It's looking like it might not be, but it probably will be, as we are closing in on this encounter here with all these cultists and these people about to be sacrificed, and the two lead cultists in front of the pulpit up at the back of the room. This is the final showdown with the BBEG of the campaign. This is the final holdout of the cult of Moen, and they're about to make their big sacrifices to summon their dark god or do whatever else they're supposed to do. We never really discovered what their plan was, just that it involved sacrificing people, and that was enough for us to want to stop it. In our last episode, we explored and got a whole bunch of prison cells. A massive amount of prison cells, as you can see. And we found the treasure room. Octavia is going into this fight blinded by a cultist of the Goddess of Night, Moen. And Maud is a spy, not a fighter, so Maud will be retreating for this, leaving Christina as the only person who can see what's going on, and Octavia as the blinded paladin. Octavia is going to charge into battle here, as blind as she is, I think. But we'll find out. We'll find out what happens. Let's get this party started. All right, it occurs to me that I don't have tokens for Christina. Okay, so here's Octavia, and I need Christina. We'll give Christina this token here. Okay, so we are currently dressed as cultists. So can we pass ourselves off as cultists? I'm going to take a -1 forward here because Christina is holding Octavia by the hand and bringing her along because Octavia has been blinded. So I am, however, going to let Octavia. I'm going to let Christina be the one to. No, I'm going to get these names. I'm going to get these names right at least once before the end of this campaign. Octavia is the one who's going to roll because she has a +2 with a -1 forward because she's blinded and has to act like she's not. She succeeds and the cult does not suspect a thing. So they're going to come up to this pew and have a seat for just a moment before anything happens. So they sit down on the pew and they listen. And what does this cultist say? Let's find out. Let's roll on the Mythic GM emulator 2 meaning tables for character conversations. 27 and 64. 27 defiant and 64 lie. And so the cult leader is giving a speech to his cult about how not only have we captured the paladin that has been giving us so much trouble, but they have killed her, and she is no longer going to stand in our way. And they all like, yeah! And that is the moment that Christina chooses to cast aside her costume and draw her fists. Her gun. Nope, she's blind. She's going to fight with a dagger. I know how to make decisions. Yeah, she's going to fight with a dagger. She throws aside her costume and says, "I'm not dead. I will kill you all." And that is enough to trigger her special move that lets her do plus 2d4 damage, because she has sworn allowed an oath to kill them. And then Christina's like, well, there goes the element of surprise, and Christina is going to rush up to the mayor and like vault over the pews and past the cultist sacrifices, and engage the mayor, and that's going to be a hack and slash with +2. Nice, a 12. We're starting this fight off correctly. Does she do enough to drop the mayor? 1d10 plus 1d4, not 1d13. Whew, I wish it was 1d13. She does do enough to drop the mayor. Immediately, she comes in and comes screaming and decapitates him right off the bat. Blood spurts everywhere all over the lead cultist. The lead cultist jumps back and tries to get out of the way, cursing and charging up his evil spell. Meanwhile, Christina in the background is blinded but hears as the cultists start to leap to their feet, and the cult leader is like, sacrifice them now. And Christina starts like flailing her arms around looking for somebody. Can she grab this cultist? I'm going to call this a defy danger based on dexterity. If she misses this defy danger, then this cultist is going to get away from her and reach up and try and sacrifice one of these maidens. She succeeds, but it's not what she dreamed of. She manages to catch this cultist before he can escape her. She grabs him by the collar and pulls him and says, "Oh, no, you don't," and starts trying to stab into him, but she whiffs because she can't see him, and he stabs her for a total of 1d4 damage. Again, the roll is just a formality. We know the damage is going to be a 4. We just know the damage is going to be 4, because why wouldn't it be a 4? Sigh. At least she had the chance to max out her hit points before this encounter. Yeah, 198 hit points. I wish. 19 hit points. My fingers are all kinds of like, today. So Christina's in the back getting stabbed by a cultist. Not Christina. Octavia is in the back getting stabbed by a cultist. Christina is in the front having just decapitated the mayor, just dropped him on the spot. Turns and dives behind the middle altar here, because the head cultist is charging up like bolts of darkness and is going to unleash hell in the form of like a Hadouken. We're going to give the cultist lord some better stats than your average cultist. He's the big bad guy. So we're going to say he does 1d12 damage. He is magical. His magic moves are Wrath of Moen, Command the Cult, and Sacrifice. He's gonna have 10 hit points, 2 armor. What else? And just closing the distance, his aura is so powerful that closing the distance is risking a curse, because he is the Blessed of Moen. And so she dives out of the way to try and avoid this Hadouken. That's going to be a dexterity check. This is +1. The dice are just so nice to Christina. They just are. This bolt of blackness that this cultist unleashes. Let's give the leader of the cult a name, shall we? Let's go to fantasynamegenerators.com. I'm not sponsored. But if you're watching, hit me up. Real names, Elizabethan names. That's what we've been using this whole campaign. Henry. This is Henry. This guy is dead. We kill him. Goodbye. So Henry, which is not the most intimidating name I've ever come up with for a cultist, but it's the name that we got. So Henry unleashes a blast of darkness that shatters against the altar as Christina dives behind it and prepares herself to be between anybody who's trying to sacrifice these maidens. So he's commanding the cultists to sacrifice the maidens. So these cultists move up here. Christina's got this one back here. And by Christina, I mean Octavia. God damn, I keep getting these names mixed up. This is not looking good. This is not looking good because there is this cultist back here who's going to jump and he's going to flip his pew over so he's got cover, and he's going to pull out his gun and he's going to aim it at Christina. And Christina is going to make a dive for this cultist over here to try and tackle him to the ground so that he can't make his sacrifice. Meanwhile, that leaves this cultist over here free to sacrifice this maiden that is tied to this table. Can she avoid the gunfire by diving out of the way? She can, and she tackles this guy to the ground. This guy, however, gets to deal his damage to her. 2 damage to Christina. 2 damage to Christina as she tackles this cultist to the ground, preventing the sacrifice. This maiden, however, over here is sacrificed. So this other cultist on the far side of the chamber plunges his ritual dagger into this victim's chest. The blood spills out over the altar, and the altar starts to glow a dark black and purple light as one of 3 sacrifices has been completed. Christina, blinded, has -1 forward to her hack and slash as she engages. It's not going well. It's going very poorly. Another 2 damage to Christina. Okay, so I gotta catch up. I'm starting to lose myself in the mechanics here. And that was not to Christina, that was to Octavia. God, I'm just so awful with these names. So Octavia is in the back and blind and having a brawl with this other cultist who just can't seem to kill her even though she's blind, because she keeps barreling through, getting stabbed, getting punched. She's trying to give as good as she gets, but she just can't land any of her strikes. Meanwhile, Christina, the old lady who is a badass, is saving the day over here, has caught this cultist and is, I'm going to give her +1 for it because she's basically straddling this cultist on the ground as she tries to pummel him into unconsciousness. +1 forward to this. 7, so she takes as good as she gets. She takes a point of damage. She's at 23 out of 26 hit points, but she also deals 1d10 plus 1d4. And she deals just enough damage to knock this cultist clean out. Meanwhile, this cultist in the back is still trying to get a bead on Christina up at the front, because Christina's the one that's the real problem here, and he's going to take another shot, and Christina has to dive behind another pew to avoid the shot as the gunfire rings out and fills the chamber. She succeeds on her dexterity check to avoid the gunshot, and the gunshot bullet goes sailing past her. She dives behind a pew. This leaves Henry free to move forward and pull out his Athame, and he's going to try and make another sacrifice. And Christina's got so much stuff to do right now, so Christina's going to leap out and jump up on top of this table and stand between Henry and his victim, and she's going to engage him in hand-to-hand combat, and she's going to roll a 10 because she gets +2. Oh no, she's wounded from when she tried to break out of the cell. She gets +1. That makes it a 9, which means that Henry deals his damage. Henry will deal 4 damage, and Christina will deal 4 damage. Henry has taken 4 damage. He has 6 HP left. Oh no, he has 2 armor, so he has 8 hit points left. And Christina has taken 4 damage, leaving her at 19 hit points. So Christina and Henry have a kung fu battle, because Christina doesn't have any weapons, and Henry is charging his fists like M. Bison from Street Fighter. And so, like, they're having this huge battle, and the punches are flying, and the blocks are going off, and Christina manages to catch him right in the face with a kick, just pow, right across the head, and he comes around and he blasts her right point blank with another blast of darkness, and she is sent hurtling back. Meanwhile, we have Octavia is dealing with this cultist. She's at -1 forward because she is blinded. The dice just do not like Octavia tonight. That is not good. Octavia takes another 1d4 damage. Is it maxed out? It is not. It is minned out Is that is that a thing? Minned out. She's got 16 hit points remaining. So she continues to tussle and swing and kick and scream, and she's so angry, and she just can't hit him, and he just keeps ducking and dodging and weaving because she is the most ferocious blind lady this dude has ever fought. It might be the only blind lady he's ever fought. She just can't land. She can't find purchase with any of her attacks. This guy is gone. He's not here anymore. That means that Christina's on the ground, and Henry is going to try and make for another attempt at sacrificing this second lady, and Christina has to kick up like if this hand is the ground, and this is Christina. Christina's down, right? Christina pulls her feet up and goes, "Ho!" A kip up. I forget what they're called. It's that really cool thing where you kick to get yourself up off the ground, and you jump from prone basically, and you land on your feet. So she's got to do one of those to get to this in time. Can she pull it off? Dexterity. If she succeeds on this roll, she will be able to interfere with Henry trying to sacrifice the victim. If she fails on this roll, she will not get up in time, and Henry will sacrifice the victim. She succeeds on this roll. She gets up and manages to tackle Henry, knock him back to the pew. She needs help. She starts crying out, "Christina, they're starting to get overwhelmed here," because this guy over here is going to start moving, and Christina is locked in melee combat while we're going to flip the camera over to Octavia over here. Can Octavia just hit the guy? She's only got to hit him once, and she'll probably take him clean out. Can she? She can! Even with a -1 forward, she finally catches this guy. And grabs him by the side of the head, and he goes, "Uh-oh." And she goes, "Oh yeah, uh-oh." And slams his head into the pew repeatedly until he's unconscious. Hopefully. 1d10 plus 2d4. She definitely does enough damage to knock this cultist unconscious. And so Christina follows the sound, Octavia follows the sound of the fighting and stumbles her way in here and bumps into the table while Octavia stumbles. I am never going to get these names straight. This is the last time I play multiple characters in one game. That's a dirty lie. I'm probably going to play multiple characters in the next game too. Octavia turns and hears this cultist muttering to himself as he's about to try and sacrifice the lady. Does she manage to interfere? She does not. It's just not going well. It's going very poorly for Octavia today. It was Pukajutsu's suggestion that Octavia be blinded, and that blinding has haunted her this entire time, as she just can't find any cultist. She's swinging her fists around, she's screaming and yelling. It's just not working, and this lady is sacrificed. That's 2 of 3. So it's time to see how Christina is doing with Henry. They are locked in melee combat, and Christina is getting her ass kicked. They exchange damage once again. 1d10 plus 1d4 from Christina for another 4, 2 of which is prevented from armor, dropping him to 6 hit points. And he does 1d12 damage. He does another 4 damage to Christina, leaving her at 15 out of 26 hit points. So Christina and Henry are locked in battle as Christina's swinging and kicking and screaming and cursing, and Henry has got his hands charged up with dark power, and he's swinging his own fists. And every time he throws a punch, it goes whoo, 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 with the power of Moen behind every strike. Okay, so Octavia and Henry. The names, they're forever backwards in my head. Christina and Henry are locked in hand-to-hand combat with each other, and Henry is using the power of Moen to charge his fists and his feet with black energy. Meanwhile, Octavia is blinded and has failed to save the life of yet another victim. There is one victim remaining before very bad things happen, trademark. So will the dice allow Octavia... Will the dice allow Octavia to pin this guy to the ground? It's a hack and slash. Let's find out. They do. She takes damage, but she gets the guy pinned and does her own damage as she like lands on him and pummels him to the ground. 1d10 plus 2d4. Oh wow. I rolled maximum damage. For perspective, a dragon in Dungeon World has 16 hit points. I just did 18 damage. So she grabs this cultist and finally she gets him on the ground. She's straddling his waist and she's just slamming her fists down repeatedly, and she finally finds his head and just beats his head into the ground until he's unconscious. And that is one cultist less. We can zoom out here. There is just this cultist with the gun, and he is going to take a shot at Octavia. Octavia is blind. Can she hear him as he goes, "I've got you," and fires his gun? Does she hear him in time to get down to the ground with the dexterity check? She does not. She's going to take 1d4 damage. She takes 1 damage as she goes, as a bullet clips her shoulder and she spins around. Ow! And she starts stumbling her way off in that direction. Meanwhile, the fight rages on between between Christina and Henry, and it just they're so evenly matched. And this whole time Christina has been hunting Henry for revenge for her killed comrades. Way back in the first couple of episodes, it was determined that Christina was a member of a caravan that had been attacked by the cult and taken captive, and she was supposed to have been a sacrifice, just like these maidens here are being sacrificed, except she was saved by Octavia, and she has been hunting this cult for vengeance ever since, and this is her chance for that vengeance. This damage roll is going to determine whether or not Henry lives long enough to try and ignore her and get to his last sacrifice. He has 6 hit points and 2 armor, which means that I need to do 8 points of damage. I have a d10 and a d4. I don't know what the math is on that, but I know my odds are pretty good of being able to do 8 damage. I just need to roll well. If I do that 8 damage, I drop Henry, and the fight is almost over. Meanwhile, 2 out of 3 sacrifices have been made, so the whole place is crawling with the energy of the night, of Moen's power. There's arcs of like black lightning kind of curling up and sparking across the floor. There's a thick black fog that's rolling off of the altars and spilling into the rest of the chamber as Christina makes this damage roll. Come on, at least 8 damage. You can do it. Yes! Christina rolls maximum damage. That's twice in a row we had maximum damage rolls. I can't even believe it. So Christina finally catches Henry and just slams him back against the pulpit and just beats the living crap out of him. And he slumps to the ground unconscious and is no longer a part of the fight. Meanwhile, Octavia is going to tackle this guy and pummel him to the ground in her blindness. And that, my friends, is a very victorious battle against the BBEG. The 4 cultists plus the mayor, whose head is now rolling somewhere across the ground. That was close. It all boiled down to that damage roll. And so Octavia finishes beating this cultist and stands up and says, "Did we do it? I don't hear any more fighting." And Christina calls out, "We did it. Henry is down." And Maud will emerge from hiding as he heads over to this final remaining victim and unties her and kind of like wakes her up. And they'll spare their last healing potion on the victim to wake her up and heal her wounds. And she will be grateful, and she'll be grateful to the group for having rescued her, and kind of like look at her other fellow sacrifices with sadness on her face. And Octavia will heave a big sigh as relief kind of rolls off her shoulder. Without a leader, the cult will surely dissipate and won't be able to organize for their big sacrifices, for their big summoning of the Dark God. Christina has gotten her revenge, and the story has a mostly happy ending. And that, as they say, is that thank you for watching, guys. I'm Evil Squeegee. If you're watching on twitch.tv/Evil Squeegee, stick around. We'll be right back. If you're watching on YouTube, the next episode that we upload will be for episode 1 of our new campaign. I don't know what it'll be yet. I've got some time to decide. Thank you so much for hanging out. It's been a blast having you all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and so on. It's been a blast having you. I've had a blast playing this campaign. Adios, amigos.